fluctuations that we've had that have led to colds and such. I want to say I'm grateful for everyone here and everyone who worked so hard to make this the wonderful and beautiful place that it is, this wonderful community of God here at Lansdowne. All your efforts are irreplaceable, and I'm deeply grateful for all that you do. Now, before we can discuss much about an attitude of gratitude, we need to know what gratitude is. We need a definition to work with here, and gratitude is a joyful reaction that hits all of a sudden. It's perfectly correct reaction to an unexpected or undeserved act of forgiveness, or a good turn that's done to you, or some other kindness that you receive. It's a response to God or to another person. And it's a very good thing to be grateful, to have gratitude. And in fact, one writer's mama said that gratitude is the way you show good breeding, that your mama raised you right, basically. Have you ever been swept up in gratitude towards God over something unexpected that catches you by surprise, that lightens the heart, fills your eyes with grateful tears, catches you by surprise, leaves you beaming with a smile others are wondering about, makes you feel like singing? It's a wonderful feeling. It's fantastic when some human makes us feel grateful too. I was at Wawa the other day picking up a couple of things for Elder Yeager, and gratitude swept me when there were probably half a dozen of us going through the front doors, those double doors, and each and every person held those doors for each and every other person, and everybody was saying thank you. It was hanging off the walls, and I felt very grateful in that moment that everybody was doing that. It was a wonderful little sign. And it just felt so good. And if you're feeling like you have a gratitude deficit, well, we've been studying the book of Joshua in our Bible study. And Joshua 1:9 will help you with a gratitude deficit. God speaks to Joshua, and we can all take to heart for ourselves what God said to Joshua. And it'll make us grateful and bold, because God said, I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Wow, now that's an assurance. Jesus is telling a story today about the attitude of gratitude. Jesus is in a place between. He's between Samaria and Galilee. He's between another nation and Israel. He is between enemy and friendly, well, sort of friendly, territory for him. He's in a small village, and there he meets people who are living lives in between. They are lepers. These are unfortunate men who have a disease of the skin and the nerves of the eyes and the lungs. And it's a condition that was much feared in their society. The men were told by the outside society that they were unclean. And they must stay outside of society, yet they must live by society's rules. A society that has now cast them out. They are unable to live with anyone except fellow sufferers. They've lost their family, they've lost their friends, they've lost their jobs, they've been reduced to a truly miserable condition. And misery loves company. Because here we have 9 men from the people of Israel and 1 Samaritan amongst them. And the Israelites and the Samaritans really didn't get along, but when you've lost everything else, you stick together. Misery loves company. So, these men are united in their pain, in their misery, in their hopelessness, their loneliness, their disaster. And while priests wouldn't say that their sins had made them sick, well, the nasty neighbor who kicks the dog, cusses their spouse, and beats the kids surely did. and drove them out of their society. So keeping a respectful distance from Jesus, they holler out together, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." They were tired of their outcast status. They were tired of living between, but they weren't entirely hopeless, because they can reach out to the one that they truly believe can pull them back in community, can pull them back into life, pull them back into their former wholeness. The lepers believe in Jesus. The lepers trust Jesus. It's a matter of faith. And Jesus has compassion on them, on these outcasts, on these people he would call the least of these. And Jesus gives them an unexpected, and they probably felt undeserved, gift in that moment. He acts with mercy on them, healing them, and telling them, "Now go and show yourselves to the priests." The Israelites understood this immediately, because it was only the priests that could declare them healed and return them to their status in the community. Reunite them with their family and their friends, with their lives that had been suspended. It meant the world to them. Well, except for one, apparently. Now remembering Mama, to show gratitude is to show good breeding. Well, 1 out of 10 came back when he discovered that he had been healed, when he was following those instructions, when he was heading off towards the priest. Suddenly he stops dead in his tracks. He feels differently than he has in a long time. He looks down at himself, and he can't believe his good fortune. He's been liberated. His eyes wells up with tears of joy. He wheels around immediately and returns to Jesus as quickly as he can, singing God's praises loudly for everyone to hear. One so filled with gratitude that he chucks away Jesus' instructions, he ignores the priest, and he's compelled to thank Jesus for this undeserved gift of health. And he doesn't worry about the rules. And he runs right up to Jesus. He gets closer than he's been to somebody who isn't sick in a very long time, and he drops at Jesus' feet, throws himself into the dust, and thanks him profusely. And Jesus wonders aloud in that moment, where are the other 9? Were 10 of you healed? We'll never know exactly what happened with those other 9. Maybe they all dutifully followed the rules of Israel, and they went to the priest, and once they had been declared cured, they scattered. Some of them going home to their families, some of them celebrating their good fortune, maybe 1 or 2 grumbling and feeling ungrateful and darkly wondering what had taken Jesus so long to find them. But now, the hearers to Jesus' story, the people that are listening to this tale about gratitude, they get a jolt, because Jesus has withheld a piece of information here. The one with the good breeding, the one who was overflowing with gratitude, was that doggone Samaritan, that enemy to the people of Israel, that untrusted foreigner who is now clean once more. He's no longer a fellow sufferer. He's seen again as the other, the outsider, but as a grateful one. And Jesus looks at him and he says, "Get up and go on your way, because your faith has made you well." Jesus returns this grateful man to his society, to his own community, to his home. And gratitude is more than a feeling, as we can see from this story. It's also a choice. 1 out of 10 chose to feel that gratitude and act on it, to return to Jesus. It's a choice to recognize the blessings that we have received. It's a choice to respond with gratitude to word and actions, to say thank you publicly and boldly, honestly, humbly, and gratefully. It's giving voice to gratitude. And when we do that, it has consequences. Because an expression of gratitude affects the people who are around us. It makes them who hear us stop and reflect on their own lives just a little bit, on their own grace notes, on their own gifts, unearned, that has been given to them by a loving God and a loving Jesus, and it makes the world around us, when we're grateful, a little sweeter place as it impacts other people, just like at the Wawa there. A place where gratitude replaces rules and decorum and stodgy social norms and grinding, dreadful news for one shining instant. It's a little taste of heaven on earth, just for a moment. And it's infectious, like a yawn. Who's trying not to, right? Or a laugh. So be like that Samaritan. It's actually a very Christian choice when you get right down to it. Gratitude really should be our default setting. It should be the way we respond to God's love and grace provided to us through Jesus each and every day. And it's a daily choice to respond to what's been given to us freely. And it's something we should do not out of a sense of obligation or of calculation. We should never be grateful thinking, all right, I'm grateful to you, now you owe me. That's not real gratitude, you see. And that doesn't do anyone any good. Living by gratitude lightens the heart. It guides our path. It inoculates us against greed and exploitation of anyone or of the planet itself. Because you can't be grateful for what you have and exploit people. So being grateful, it promotes justice and economic justice, sexual, racial, environmental. Provides us with a deep sense of gratitude for all the gifts of our lives, all the people in it, all the materials of our community, this beautiful planet of ours. We become more grateful and we want to be more caring of all of them. You can't live a life of gratitude and pollute. You can't live a life of gratitude and purposefully hurt others. You can't live a life of gratitude and threaten to destroy your enemy with nuclear weapons. Gratitude, it needs to be practiced daily or it fades into the background. It's like exercise. The more you exercise, the stronger you get, but you take a week off and you lose ground really quick. It's like that. It helps us keep our eyes open when we're attuned to gratitude. We start seeing kindnesses done. We start recognizing favors. We start recognizing forgiveness that comes our way. And if we don't, we become blind to it. That's a sad thing. That's a rough way to live. So we can develop a fine sense of gratitude over time by practicing it every day. Letting it flow joyously through our lives publicly, infecting others everywhere we go. It sounds nice, but how do we do it? And is it practical? Well, it starts with a real simple practice. Be grateful for the fact that you woke up this morning. First thing to be grateful for, that was a gift. I know some mornings are going to feel real hard to do even that because the clock's going to go off earlier than you want. The dog, the old 16-year-old dog, is going to get you up at 4. But still, be grateful that you woke up. And then remember and repeat to yourself Joshua 1:9, God saying to us, I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Let that put a spring into your step. Work to banish fear and anger and frustration and grief and regret, apprehension and pain, all those things that will drag us down, that will mask the blessings of this life, that will seek to have us deny gratitude. Choose gratitude daily. until it becomes a reflex, until it is your standard, your default setting. When somebody, here's another way to do it. When somebody asks you how you're doing, don't say fine. That's saying nothing. Yeah, it's just a toss-off line so you can keep walking. Say instead, I'm grateful. That'll make people think. Make them stop. Or it might even start a conversation. It's like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? It makes you and the other person stop and think and maybe create that conversation. Practice gratitude, and it'll come easier each day. I was reviewing, I saw an article in Forbes magazine talking about an author named John Kralik. He wrote a book called A Simple Act of Gratitude. His life was falling apart. It was a disaster. He was miserable. He was broke. He was on his second divorce. He couldn't pay his Christmas bonus to his law staff because people weren't paying him. And he turned it around with gratitude. It was the place he started. He said, I got to do things differently. And so he decided to write one thank you note a day, which meant he had to find one thing to be grateful for each day and write it down. So he could write that note. So he had to have that one reason to be thankful and to express it. And gratitude developed over time and grew in his life. It changed his life, and by 2015, he'd written over 2,000 thank you notes. He began with his wife, and he soon discovered that he was more likely to remember 9 bad things that happened in his day than one good, until he started forcing himself to look for the good thing. And develop gratitude and give it away and watch it grow. Changed his life and can change ours. Let's end this sermon by practicing gratitude. Now, I didn't mean for this to have a double meaning. I only now realize I'm going to ask you to do something. You're going to say you're grateful. Not that the sermon is ending, but that's what it's going to sound like. Anyway, I'm going to ask you how you're feeling 3 times. You're going to say, I'm grateful. So let's start. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? I'm grateful. Now, one more time with feeling. How are you feeling? Amen. Now, we can go out and do it again and again. Each and every day. Let's pause for a moment of silent reflection. Amen. Our hymn of commitment is number 540.